So, believe it or not, despite being an optimizer who absolutely tries to get the most out of the mechanics of my build, I also take role-playing very seriously. I take pride in role-playing. I want people to come away from the table saying, man, that build run, not only was his character just like mad strong, he was a really great role player. And so it's been important to me for a long time, and because I'm an optimizer, I have optimized the art of role-playing, or at least to the point where I can offer 10 tips on how to be a good role player. So let's jump right in and take a look. Number 1, create your PC with at least one other player and or the DM, and return the favor. This creates mutual interest, investment, and awareness to drive role-playing moments. I can't stress this enough. This will totally get your character's roleplay off on the right foot if you help another character make his PC and they help you make your PC. Because you are going to now be very understanding of where that character is coming from, and you're just going to care so much more. For example, I created this ranged fighter build called the Boltmaster for my friend CMCC's Gauntlet series, a very difficult series of stress tests to test builds. And we took a team in, and we're going to be seeing that here pretty soon, I hope. I'll put a link to CMCC's channel below. But in any case, I made this character. My friend Atreides from my Patreon room, like and subscribe if you like this content, by the way. He took the character, put some tweaks on it to make it his own, and I am just so invested in seeing this character perform and invested in his success, and I'm able to roleplay very well off of him because I'm just like really invested in this character. So that's an underrated thing that you can do right off the bat to get your character's roleplaying off on a good start. Number 2, take account of your stats and alignment. For example, low charisma should be socially uncalibrated and kind of annoying, and not role-played as high charisma, suave type characters. I find this one to be very common, actually. I think it's poor role-playing, and it's just, not appropriate. I think you should play your stats. That doesn't mean that if your character is low intelligent, that he has to be dumb in combat. Such characters can be combat savvy. I'm a sports fan. I'm well aware there are quarterbacks in the NFL that scored like a 10 out of 50 on the Wonderlic exam, yet are winning MVPs in Super Bowls. You can be combat savvy without being the smartest bulb in the box. Just normally try and play your stats because, in my experience, contemplation of the stat array and your alignment really informs how you're going to roleplay the character and what their personality is. So, for example, I have an 8 charisma on this character. How am I going to play it? Well, he also has a high intelligence and a low wisdom, so I'm going to play this guy as kind of like an Aspie sort who's a real egghead and just always saying socially inappropriate things just because he doesn't know any better. And then on another character, they have an 8 charisma, and so I'm thinking, how am I going to play them as, kind of annoying? Well, they have a low intelligence but a high wisdom, and they're neutral good, kind of young, so maybe I'll make him more like a high school jock that used to bully the nerds, right? And he's neutral good, so maybe he now regrets it, and now he stands up to bullies all the time. All right, so just a couple of different ways of contemplating the stat array leads to different iterations of personality development. That said, think twice about playing an evil or an antisocial PC. Only do this if your table has a thick skin, that they understand that you're doing a bit. And of course, try to be one of those players, try to be understanding, but let's face it, some characters and personalities and quirks are annoying. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And so when you're playing with someone like that, you have to be somewhat tolerant because they're trying to have a good time too. And if you're playing one of those characters, try not to lay it on too thick. Play your character, have fun, but try not to be annoying. I definitely do not recommend this in a Westmarch format, where you're just constantly exposed to new players and they might not get it. I had plenty of problems with that playing my evil character in Westmarch, where he would say evil things and sometimes people would get upset about it. Number 3, take account of your background, backstory, personality quirks, and character motivation. Now, don't necessarily go too crazy. You don't have to come into this with a 5-page backstory, and I actually recommend not having so much pre-written about the characters so that you have a chance to evolve. For example, my character William X had a pretty simple backstory of born in a tube, grown in a lab, managed to escape after a woman appeared in his dreams and taught him ethics and realized that he didn't have to be a weapon for his creators. And he was off and running. And later, as I adventured, I could be like, oh, that woman that appeared in my dreams, I just met her, that's her. And oh, she's the mother of this guildmate that I've never met. Whoa, very cool. Right, so, give yourself a solid frame to work with, but also leave it room to grow. And one or more strong personality quirks or fatal flaws can drive your roleplay much of the time, especially at the beginning when you're still trying to get a feel for the character or personality. And for example, my Scourge the Undying, who is an evil Dowlock, I thought, okay, well, I'm trying to figure out what his actual personality is. All I know is that he's got a lot of pride and he's very cowardly. So knowing that he was proud and cowardly allowed me to get a lot of good role-playing moments in, even as I was trying to figure out the character, and that formed the base of his character going forward. Ultimate goals will drive decision-making throughout. So yeah, your character motivation matters. And again, for example, with Scourge, he was very vain, and so I decided what he was pursuing was status. Right? He wanted people to run at the sound of his name and get invited to Grazit's fetish parties and have, all of that type of great reputation. And that was another pretty easy North Star to follow as I was trying to develop the role play of this character. Finally, in this regard, crafting a specific voice can be helpful and fun, but it isn't required. Don't do it if you don't think you can pull it off or you find it uncomfortable, but man, it can be a lot of fun. That was another reason that I used to love to play Scourge. I got to do his evil voice. I am a prince of the elements, fool! Oh yeah, good times, good times. Number 4, heavily skin your abilities, spells, attacks, equipment, etc. to reflect your role-playing theme. Flavor is free, so long as the mechanics are the same, you can do pretty much anything you want. And you can change your character sheet to keep pounding these reskin terms when you ping them and just continue to reinforce the personality that you've made. For example, I'm playing 2 different monks, and they're a lot different. One is more of a traditional monk that comes out of a monastery and does jitsus, and another is more of a Sai warrior. So even though they have the same abilities, I have them skinned differently. The traditional monk has the Buddha's Palm Strike, and the Dragon Palm Jitsu, and the Catfall Jitsu, etc. And the Sai warrior has Bulwark of Force, and Id Insinuation, and Tower of Iron Will, and things of that nature. So despite working with the exact same mechanics, much different in their roleplay, and a much different feel to those characters. As another example, going into the Gauntlet, our third is the Old Man of the Sea, a sea druid, and my friend Mando has skinned him so that all of his stuff is like ice. When he does spike growth, it's like all these sharp icicles sticking up off of the ground. His emanations are like winter snowstorms and hailstorms and stuff. So there's a lot of leeway to reskin your spells to reflect your role-playing concept and such. Lots and lots of ways to reskin your character. It's something that I wish I saw more of, and it's just a really cool way to constantly get the reinforcement to develop your role-playing. Number 5, listen to the DM narrative and the dialogue of NPCs and other players to respond accordingly. You definitely need to pay attention. This is a conversation and a back and forth, so you're naturally going to play off of what others have said. Take an interest in your ally backstories and personality quirks to enhance your interactions. Look for opportunities to relate current events to your allies, ask them questions, and offer banter to get others involved. And keep in mind that some players prefer to take a back seat and listen. So yeah, you definitely want to try to engage your colleagues. This is role-playing, and it's not all about one character. Everybody should contribute as much as they're comfortable with. And of course, some people definitely are more passive and just kind of prefer to only step up in when the moment calls for it. So respect that. It's a balance. You're going to figure out your party, but just try and create these role-playing moments by engaging with your party members. Don't ask for skill checks. Just take actions that cause a DM to ask for skill checks. This keeps things flowing. It keeps things in character. And you might not need a check in any case. So don't constantly interrupt the flow of your narrative by stopping and saying, do I need to make a check for this? Or should I roll athletics or acrobatics or make an insight check or yada, yada, yada? Just do your thing, assume that you're going to succeed at all of the things that you're doing, and just wait for the DM to say, whoa, 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 I'm going to need an athletics check for that. Right? It's just going to keep things moving, and it's better role play, I think. Don't take actions that detract from the overall fun, even if that's what your PC would do, within reason, because your fun counts too. Just, again, strike a balance. You don't want to be too annoying, and you don't want to make the game less fun for anybody else, but you also want to play your character and you want to have fun as well. Taking notes is very helpful to remember names and locations and the list of things that you needed to pick up and all of that. It's just going to smooth out role-playing where you're not going to constantly have to be like, God, what was this guy's name again? In my mind, I just noted him as the quartermaster, and I can't remember his freaking name. Well, you can refer to the notes. And in that regard, an online shared note stock can be very helpful. Everybody can contribute. Everybody is working from the same body of knowledge. Number 6, describe during your combat turns while role-playing the dice. If you say, I attack twice and bonus action dodge, or I cast X and move over here, that's kind of boring. And this is your moment on your turn. No one else is going to be really saying anything. You have a chance to really describe your turns and enhance your role-playing. Describe the unfolding events. Describe your expressions. I usually start with that, actually. My character frowns because he doesn't like how this battle is going, or my character grins as he can see that this battle is almost wrapped up. Describe your movements. If you have a particular mode of moving around, you can describe that, or you can just say he thinks this battle is over, so he confidently saunters towards the enemy. Describe your actions in a cinematic way, and describe the comments that you make and the thoughts that you might have, the impressions that you might have on the battle. That's going to give your character a lot more personality and flesh him out a lot more and be better role-playing. Don't hesitate to skin your movement and attacks as well. For example, I had a character, William X, who is a Psi warrior, and he's a fighter. So he's just constantly making attacks. I wanted to make things a little different. So I decided because he's a Psi warrior and his blade is infused with psionic energy, it was going to leave a little trail of blue energy for a moment as he made his slice. So he was going to do a heavy strike from left to right, and then another one from right to left, and it was going to leave like a glowing blue X of psionic energy over the enemy as I attacked him. Right? Just a little something that kind of enhanced the roleplay of that particular PC. And do be prepared for, you got him. How does it happen? Very predictable moment when you're playing Dungeons & Dragons, so you shouldn't be caught unawares. Prep some stock descriptions that you can memorize and recite, or read out when appropriate even. There's no harm in writing things down. Obviously, ad-libbing in the moment is ideal, and certainly a plus, but that'll get easier as you get better with role-playing. When you're first starting out and when you're first dealing with a character and getting a feel for them, there's no harm in writing these things down. Number 7, talk a little, but not too much during your combat turns. Witty quips are stock in trade for PCs to establish personality and to impact the mood and tone of the session. Catchphrase never hurts, right? Have at thee, or it's clobbering time, or Avengers assemble, or in the name of Maestra, I do whatever. All those are really simple and easy things that you can say to establish a lot of personality. You do have to keep it snappy. These turns are only 6 seconds long, but you do have some leeway. You can probably go like 10 or 12 seconds because it's a fantasy trope that exposition takes a lot faster than you actually can do it in real life, right? Especially in like comic books. There's just like all of these words and they're doing like 1 or 2 punches. To keep things moving along, if you address an enemy or an ally, make clear that you don't expect a response from them until their turn, right? You can literally just straight up and say that. As my PC waits for the enemy's turn for a response, he does X, Y, and Z. And again, like before, you can prep some stock phrases, write them down, then you can recite or read them as appropriate. Number 8, say it and then stop. Don't just keep rambling during interactions. Give others a chance to chime in. Especially in an online format where you can't see each other and you can't read body language and you can't see that someone is got inhaled and ready to talk. It's kind of on you to be more proactive about that. Say it and then give people a few moments to respond. And generally have a sense of how much you're speaking. If you're talking too much, try and dial it back. Everybody is a main character here, and it's a collaborative storytelling endeavor, so get other people involved and don't talk too much. Number 9, avoid metagaming. PC knowledge is separate from player knowledge. You can do skill checks to kind of figure out what it is that your PC knows relative to the player, but you gotta remember that even though the player knows that devils have fire immunity or that dragons have blind sight, the PC might not know. And there are things that the PC knows that the player's not gonna know. I'm not gonna know the name of the bartender at the tavern that I've been going to for years in my backstory, but the PC would know, even if the player doesn't. So you might have to figure that out, or the DM will tell you, but just remember they're not the same thing. Don't speak in character during your off turns. Tactical back and forths are inappropriate for 6-second turns. This one kind of annoys me when people are, plotting things out between each other, back and forth. I'm going to do this, you're going to do that. Oh, but what about this? Oh, well, okay, in that case, I'll do that. It's so unrealistic to me. It's totally metagaming, and I think that it's poor role-playing, so I would definitely try to avoid that. As well, minimize speaking out of character during your off turns. You can make explanations of happiness or sadness to see a critical or a crit fail or something, but don't backseat drive other PCs. Just react to what they choose to do, and don't manipulate their characters like they're your puppets on a string. And when you're speaking, you want to avoid game terms, at least when you're speaking in character. You're catching your breath, not taking a short rest. You are on death's door and not sitting on 1 hit point. Fairly simple, right? Finally, number 10, have fun and don't be afraid to look dumb. We're our own worst critics. Nobody else really notices our missteps. Everybody's way too concerned about what they're doing and how people are perceiving them, and everybody's the main character of their own story. So they're much more concerned with the main character, and so just, keep that in mind. Go all out, do your crazy, silly voice, do the silly things or the weird things that your PC would do. Just keep in mind the overall fun of the table. So that's it. Those are my 10 tips on how to be a better role player. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have any other tips for good role playing, or if you have any issues with the ones that I listed, or expansions on what I listed, I'd love to hear about them. Regardless, thank you so much for watching. This has been Bill Bronze of Dragons. I'm your host, Bill Bafflestone. See you next time.